Group work can be fun and practical, but only if each member contributes their share of the workload. Sometimes you can set us an extreme amount of group work with randomly chosen people. When we don't know people, we don't know what grades they aim for, how hard they're willing to work, and what their motivation is. I always wanted the HD, so it was really difficult having to work with someone who was just happy with a pass. Can you imagine trying to get someone who just wants a pass to do their section? I was so embarrassed having to submit an inferior assignment. Ideally, working with like-minded teams with similar ambitions would have avoided all of these clashing ideas. Communication breakdowns became the failure of the project. At the least, if we had been told how to delegate tasks and hold people accountable, then the tutor could have seen that I was trying to do my bit. So my averages are distinction or higher, so we're all going to have to put in an effort as I can't have those drop. I've already decided who'll do what. You can look after the research.
You? Alice, you don't know my name.
No, you never told me.
I'm Ethan, didn't you see?
You didn't send a single message in the chat, you just read all of them?
Hey guys, Dexter here. How's everyone doing?
We were supposed to meet at 10.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm really sorry. I was running for my train and it got delayed, so I had to... And then I had to figure out if we were all sitting here, so it just doesn't matter really. It's just sort of...
I have to leave for work in 10 minutes.
But I just got here.
Well, I wouldn't have come if the meeting is so short. Why didn't you say you had work when we decided on today in class?
Well, I thought that if
Look,
we could...
why don't we just decide on who's doing what now then? Full disclosure, I do have another assignment that I need to focus on, and so I might need to focus on that.
We can't allocate every role without that other person here.
Which other person?
Her name was Jae Woo, I think?
That's me, Ji Woo.
Are you Jae-woo?
Why didn't you tell us you were here?
Why aren't you in the Facebook chat then?
I don't use Facebook.
What? But we're all using Facebook.
There are 6.8 billion people in the world who don't use
You can
Facebook.
just
I
download
don't use
it.
Facebook.
I'll give you my mobile data.
Everything's
I'm
all
personally
the same.
hotspotting you to download the app.
Since 1998, the University of Technology has been surveying graduating students about their experience of group work at uni. For half the students, it is a wonderful and rewarding experience where the work as a group transcends what they could have achieved as an individual. For the other 50%, they find group work problematic and, in some cases, distressing. The monologues in this story are compiled from actual students' feedback. The verdict is in.
Actually, I don't have much of a problem with group work itself at all. However, I don't feel as if the staff understood the immense workload it involved. Teamwork is generally not taught. It's just thrust upon you. Teams are just expected to coalesce and form their group norms, behaviors, rules with close to zero guidance from lecturers on how teams can or should operate. When problems were raised with the tutors, there didn't seem to be a willingness or an understanding on how to take on the problems and manage them. I never really saw much of an effort to facilitate the group work process. Sometimes one person does everything and the whole team gets the credit. Peer assessment forms are okay, but we never know what comes of it. I think you as a tutor should make some time to have a weekly meeting to see how the group is going. Find out who has been delegated which task. Perhaps a diary or logbook to see what each group member contributed that week.
Team project. You, and you're a team. Conference room. This will be great for the company. It's due Monday morning, 9 a.m. Any questions? Everything's fine?
I'm wondering...
Right, so you're good to go then. Email me if any questions.
The brief is too open-ended. How do we know if we are doing right? They are always so particular about what they want.
Yeah, but he's not going to tell us what that is. I wish he could show us an example so at least we know if we're in the right direction. Can't we just ask him for one?
I emailed him 2 days ago. Can someone else try? If we all email, he'll have to respond, right?
He won't. We've all tried.
This is just getting ridiculous. Are we certain he's not in his office? Oh, you're in. Sorry to bother you. We know you've been busy. We've just been emailing for a few days.
Really? Hadn't checked.
We just had some questions about the task, and the deadline seems unreasonable.
Deadline's not the issue. What style are we supposed to write it in? Can you upload examples?
Well, examples don't really matter till you give us the requirements of what you're after. Then we know exactly what you want.
Wait.
Yeah, I think examples, like an exemplar or something. We'll never actually understand what we need to be. Relationship building. I guess it was good working together with international students. Different abilities and perspectives. You can get a lot of information. Different ways of thinking and an understanding of cultural ethics through this way. I had a core group of peers that I went the whole way through the course with, and that made it a lot easier. I liked classes that used this cohort model. Randomly chosen groups didn't always work, but when they did, it was amazing. I do really think you have to understand these relationships and build them to make group work.
And then by removing the handrails and minimizing the width of the concrete pathway, we save half as much space on the exterior. And it should be accessible. And that is all I've got.
A nice job.
Yeah, that sounded good.
It's good. I like it. It just isn't actually how it works in reality.
Aren't you just designing the graphics?
Oh, yeah, that was the job I was given, but I think we could go about this in a different way. That's just my personal experience from studying this before, but you need more space than you think. So if we move the ramp to the left of the door instead, we save just as much space while making it compliant.
Yeah, that sounds good.
You've said that for everything today, Jiu.
Oh, sorry, I just normally project manage, that's all, so I'm not too sure.
Oh, you project manage. So, would you prefer doing the timeline and the budget then?
It would save me from doing it.
I'd prefer it. I'm faster at it and definitely more confident.
Great, and Ethan, did you want to give me some notes on what you thought about my part?
Are you sure you just don't want me to write it?
Sure, we can do that, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know a thing or two about this.
Okay, cool. So you two are swapping, and Jiu, you're happy to swap with Louise.
Yep, that sounds good.
Great.
Your Honor.
Your Honour.
Your Honor.
Your Honour.
I take it the 6 of you are ready?
5, Your Honour. One of us had a presentation they needed to prepare for. Your Honour, we as a team stand before you to present a single unified point. That Mr. Daniels is guilty for the brutal strangulation of his boss. Apologies, Your Honour. Wrong case. It's been a long week. But we each did our bits. We were just pressed for time and we didn't have a chance to meet up before and practice. We each had other group assignments for other subjects due.
Not only are the 5 of you late, but one of your team is missing.
Your Honor, there's been a disconnect between the type of work that has been set and the load that our students have to go through. It makes time management nearly impossible.
Some classes even ran assignments with groups of 12 writing a single report. Think about the logistics. if a student has 3 group tasks across 3 different subjects, and each group has, say, 5 team members, that means you are trying to manage the communications potentially between 12 other people.
UTS prides itself on authentic learning and simulating workplace processes. However, sometimes these group work processes would be frowned upon in a work setting.
We are told by some academics that group work is hell in the real world, so get used to it. They don't seem to understand how or even give enough time in tutorials to help us adapt and develop. Should not university be a place where best practices are role modeled and taught to us so we can change this so-called group work hell in workplaces when we experience it?
UTS could think about best group work practices, change the way group work is taught, do the work and role-playing with students so that they become the benchmark for great professional practice when they enter the workforce.
After listening to this and from reading the data which spans over 20 years, it's apparent to me that we have an issue with group work. Whilst rewarding for half of the students, the great concern is this unmoving 50% who, throughout all these years, find it an unpleasant and sometimes deeply traumatising experience. Academics have a duty of care to provide a safe, supportive learning environment. Consideration must be given by academics and course directors as to how this can be done. What responsibility sits with them and what sits with the students? They have articulated a range of problems, sentiments and examples that demand a response so that we can close this loop on the feedback they've given. Academics need to think through every group task assignment, consult with students and see how it can be done better in a more supportive way. That said, academics need to be supported to do this, rather than the responsibility lying with them. However, group work is also a collaboration between students and their teacher. Students must communicate with one another, arrive on time, and complete their allocated tasks as best they can. Academics must go through what the students have said, come up with solutions of what can be done at a course and class level, and support each other to implement changes. Then we can have the best chance of changing the culture and moving the data towards a more positive place. Case dismissed.